Hello and welcome to Learning Music with Pat. I've been trying to show you that music is a language by showing you different ways of reading it, reading the time, reading the symbols that music has. So what I'm going to start off with today is I'm going to start off with a little song that I wrote, and I want you to see if you can follow it. It's not long, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this song here, and I'm going to play from here to here. This is another version of it. And so if we can get that in so that I can show them what I need them to know, then that would be good. Good, that's great. And I'm going to be playing here, 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 and then I'm going to jump back and play the first two lines and end right here. And then I'm going to explain how I did it and why I did it this way, because I didn't use any repeat signs. I used a sign that says go back to the sign, but I'm going to explain all of that. So let me just play that first. I'm not going to play it too fast, and I'll explain it to you. And then I'm going to show you different versions of the same song that when I play it, it sounds exactly the same, but the timing is different. So let me go ahead and play this song, and then we'll go to it. Now that's the whole song, and I'm going to take my pointer here and explain to you what I did. You'll notice right here, well, first of all, the treble clef. This is the usual thing we go through, and it's in 3/4 time, so it's like waltz time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. If you can remember any of the melody I played, that seems like logical that that would be in 3/4 time. And then I played all of this retarded here. When I got here, I didn't pay any attention to the alfine. I went right along and played the middle part, which is sometimes called the bridge. I have it written out here, bridge. Played all of that, played all of that. Now, when I got here, there's an interesting little notation here. It says DS alfine. Now, it's spelled F-I-N-E, but that's not how it's pronounced. It's pronounced fine, D-S alfine. Well, so what does it mean? It basically means go back to the sign and play until the end of the song. Fine would mean end. So when I get here to the DS alfine, I went back to the sign. This is a sign. You don't pay any attention to it when you start out, but when you're going to go back to it, that's the place where you go back, where the sign is. If the sign had been here, I would have gone back there. But so I went to the beginning, and I played it, the two lines, and I get to the alfine. That's the end of the song. It's the end. So I'm playing everything, going back to the sign and playing the first two lines, and that's the end of the song. Now, what is the purpose of that? Well, I could have written these two lines down here. It would have taken more space. I didn't really need to do that. All I needed to do was to have a sign to tell me where to go, and this is where it went. I went back to the sign. Now, what if I'd used a repeat sign? Normally speaking, you would get here and you would use a repeat sign because you have the double line. You would have put a dot here and a dot here, and you would have had another repeat sign right here with the two dots in front, and I would have gone and went back there. But I would have had to have repeated the whole thing. I wouldn't have stopped in the middle. because what I would have done was go, here's the repeat sign, here's the repeat sign, had I put them in, and I didn't for a purpose. And then I would have repeated the whole thing back to the repeat sign, and that would be the end of the song. But I didn't want to do that, because the end of the song is really not totally the end of the song. The end of the song is actually a reprise. It's these two lines repeated is the end of the song. So a lot of songs are in three parts. You have the beginning part, then you have a middle section which is different, and then you go back to the first part again, somewhat similar. Sometimes it's not exactly the same thing, but basically the same notes, the same rhythm. Usually the melody is carried out, and then you just go ahead and you finish the song. But you have to do a lot of writing to do that, and if I had a repeat sign, there's no way that I could have stopped here. I would have had to gone down, back to the repeat sign, which means I would have finished with the bridge and not with the melody. So I would have done something like this. I'm going to take the recorder and play it as if there was a repeat sign there, and I'm going to go down to what the end of the song is. And you can see that it's not quite the best place to stop, but that's what I'll do. So I'll be playing from here down through here, and we're going to assume that this is the end of the repeat sign. What would it sound like? Well, let me give it a try. Now what it's missing is the beginning part again. It's missing that third part again. So instead of writing that down, which I could have done, I just went back and did the sign, and when it gets to the Alfine, I'm playing those two lines, which I could have ended up with, but the only way to end up with it is either use the sign, which I did, or to write them out. I could do it either way. So I haven't made much issue of the sign, but it's very, very handy to have it, because if you want to go back and play something, and it doesn't always have to go back to the beginning, it's a sign, you go back to wherever the sign is, and then you end where it tells you to end, and that's the end of the song. So you really, in a sense, can do a lot more with that sign in the Alfine than you can do with the repeat sign, because the repeat sign is a little limited. You go back to the repeat sign, you play to the end of the repeat sign, but you can do more here. Now I want to show you some interesting things about timing. This is in 3/4, and if you remember the melody, it's logical that it would be in 3/4. Now, what if I wanted to play it in 4/4 and I didn't want to play it in 3/4? How could I do that? It's obviously a lilting waltz type melody that normally you play. In 3/4. So I'm going to change it to 4/4. This is how I'm going to do it. So we need to get back to this page again. You have the treble clef. You have 4/4, not 3/4, but 4/4. You have the same sharp. It's an F sharp. It's exactly the same song. But what I'm doing is I'm making all of the eighth notes. I'm putting in eighth notes, and I'm making triplets out of them. Triplets are 3 notes, usually written as eighth notes, with a little 3 on top of them. Sometimes there's a little slur kind of thing, and the 3 is written underneath or on top. But at any rate, there's 3. It has to be a number 3. That tells you that's a triplet. And so what happens in a triplet is you have 3 notes to 1 beat. So this is 1 beat, 2 beats, 3 beats, 4 beats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're all eighth notes, and they're all involved with a triplet. So I made everything triplets, and yet the reason I can do it is the fact that I have all of the notes are the same in terms of timing. They're not that much difference. I have a whole note here, which is 3 beats. I have a whole note here, which is 3 beats. But 3 beats is like 3 quarter notes, and all of the whole song is written in quarter notes. And here, they're all written in eighth notes, and so I have eighth notes all the way through the piece. Now, I didn't bother with the bridge. I'm only writing for the first 2 or 3 lines so you can see what it's like. So let me play that. And if you look at that, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's going to sound like it should be in 3 beats, but I can maneuver it to be in 4 beats as I want to. So let me play that. Sounds exactly the same, and it's in 4/4 time. I'm just manipulating this so you can see the different types of time signatures and what you can do with them. Let me turn the page here. Now, supposing I want to write it in 6/8. A lot of waltzes are written in 6/8. It has the same lilting melody, you know, so what we are going to do is the song is written in all eighth notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's one measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That dotted quarter is 3 beats if you're considering everything as eighths, because a quarter note has 2 eighths. If you were to break it down, it has 2 eighth notes, and then that dot is that 3rd eighth note, because you have to consider that that eighth note is a half of the value of the quarter note. Whenever you have a dot, that dot is a half of the value of the note that came before him. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now these are measures. As you know, these lines here are bar lines, and this is the measure between them. Sometimes they're known as bars. I could say, play the 3rd bar, and I'd be saying the same thing as play the 3rd measure. So that's just another term for it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And it goes through the whole thing. This is 6 beats to the measure, and an eighth note. That's why the eighth is there. The eighth note each eighth note gets 1 beat. So I have to do this by playing everything in terms of eighth notes. And yet, when you listen to the song, it's going to be exactly the same. So let me play my version. I have a copy of everything that you're seeing, of course, so I can do this. So I'm going to do it all in 6/8 time. And it's like waltz tempo. Well, I'm going to continue this, and we're going to see something else. What if I want to do something really unusual? But music is written in 12/8. This is 12/8. In other words, this is 12 beats to a measure, and they're all eighth notes, or the equivalent of eighth notes. So what I've done, instead of 6/8 time, I now have 12/8 time. 12 beats to the measure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Now I've put a hold on this because I have to hold those notes. I don't want to play those single notes. I want to hold them together. So they're 3 notes, 3 eighth notes all together in a whole, so you play them as 1 note. That would be the same as this dotted quarter right here. The equivalency is the same as that. Music can get very mathematical. So let me play this, and you're going to see it's the same song. Now, what I could have done, in fact, I did. What about if I wanted to play it 48 beats to the measure, all quarter notes? I can do that, and it will work. The only reason it works is that I've got the same type of note all the way through the song. Otherwise, it would be difficult to do. But since I have the same note all the way through the song, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, because this half note is 2 beats instead of 1, and then keep going and keep going. Now I happen to have counted, there are 48 notes. When you consider the half note is 2 beats, and that's 2 quarter notes, and 3 beats if I want to put a hold on it and add another quarter note to it. So you have the half beat, 2 beats, plus 1 quarter is 3 beats. What I could have done, of course, is to write the half note and just put a dot there. So it would be a dotted half note, which also would be the same as 3 beats, because that dot means half of what the note is before it. And since the note is a half, I take 1 from that, add it to it, and that dotted half note would be the same as a half note with the quarter note attached to it. I hope this is making some sense, so I'll play it again. And what have I done? I am playing the whole song as 1 measure. 1 measure for this, 4 measures for that. I'm sorry, 2 measures for this. No, 1, 2, 3, 4 measures for that. And as you change the timing, you change the number of measures that's in it. So let me just play that one more time. It is exactly the same. No, it's exactly the same song. I have changed the signature, the timing signature, for different kinds of beats, counting it in different kinds of ways, and in the end you get exactly the same song. The reason I wanted to do this is just show you how much you can do with changing the timing and how much variety you can get in the timing. Now, very, very rarely would you ever find something in 48/4 time. I've never seen it in all the years that I've been playing. I have seen 12/8. 6/8 is fairly common. 3/4, 4/4, 2/2, or C, which is with a line slash, which is considered to be cut time. I've seen all of that, and that's fairly common. But just to take a song and just change the time signature so you have 48 beats to a measure, and they're all quarter notes, or if I wanted to make these all eighth notes, I could have had 48 beats over an eighth note, which I have shown. I just wrote it out here, 48/8. So in that case, I would have had to make all of these notes eighth notes. It's just easier just to make the quarter notes and not put the little flags on it. So that gives you an idea as to what you can do with the time signature. We don't have much time left, so let me go over this. If you were doing timing and you're doing it mathematically, I'm going to kind of mix notations and math together here. Supposing you have 4 and you want 1/2 of 4. Well, 1/2 of 4, of course, is going to be 2. So 4 plus 2 is going to be 6. Now, because 1/2 of 4 is 2, so I have this 4 plus 2 is 6. If you're going to do this and add music notation to it, which is never done, I'm just doing it just to make it plain, a 4 dot would equal 6. In a whole note, you have 4 beats, and if you have a dotted whole note, you automatically have 6 beats. Okay, now what about 6? 6 plus 1/2 of 6 is going to be 9, because 1/2 of 6 is 3. And so you have 6 plus 3 equal 9, or 6 dot, if I was going to use musical sense here, musical term, 6 dot would equal 9. So 4 dots would equal 6. 6 dot would equal 9. Now here's your whole note. This is a note, a whole note, which is usually 4 beats. I can think of exceptions where it's not, but I'm not getting into exceptions today. So this is 4 beats. You dot that, and your note is 6 beats. I could write it as a whole note plus a half note, because a half note is half of that whole, and put a little slur on top of it and get the same thing. But I don't have to. I have the dot, so that's automatically 2 extra beats added. So, but I could do it that way if I wanted to. A quarter note with a dot is going to be the same as 1.5, and 1.5 beats. So I think, I don't know how much more time I have to go over this. So let me just run over this quickly. A dotted quarter is going to be the same as 3/8. Here's the quarter, here's the 2/8. Or you can also write, the 2/8 has got the flag down here, but you can write them individually. It doesn't make any difference. It means the same thing. And 1/8 can be split up into 2/16. So here's your 1/8, and then you have your 2/16, and this is just a different way of writing it. As long as it has its 2 flags, it's a 16th. And a dotted 1/8 is going to be 3/16 notes. Here they are, because an 1/8 is divided into 2/16, and if you have a dot on it, it's going to be an added 16th, so you have this. And so you can just think of the mathematics that's involved in music. There is a lot of mathematics involved in music. And once you get used to it, it's not that hard to figure out. But once you have to figure it out, because if your timing is wrong, then the song just doesn't fly. So we're about out of time. I'm going to close it here, and we'll go on to something else next time. Please join me then.